Okay, for this video, we're going to make a Polaroid collage. I want everybody to start this using the monkey image that I give you in Canvas. So go to Canvas, Polaroid collage tutorial, and click this download button. It should start downloading automatically. And you're going to open that in Photoshop. So go to Photoshop and say open. It will probably be in your downloads folder. And it may take a minute to open depending on your internet connection. And here we go. So the first thing we're going to do, look at your layers panel. If you can't see your layers panel, go to Window, Layers. Select your layers your background layer. You know it's selected because it's highlighted, and I'm going to hit Control J. See what that did? It duplicated my background layer. I always like to do this so that you have your background layer to go back to, your original to go back to. Now I'm going to make a new layer by clicking on the plus symbol at the bottom of the layers panel. If you hover your mouse over it, it says create a new layer. I'm going to name it black. Okay, so I'm going to drag this. This is going to be our background. So I'm going to click it and drag it below layer 1. You see a little blue line. And I'm going to fill it with the paint bucket. The paint bucket is about halfway down your toolbar, and it is nested with the gradient tool. So if you don't see it, click and hold on this button and you will see the paint bucket tool. I'm going to change my foreground color at the bottom of my toolbar. Make sure it's black. If you would like to use a different color, you certainly can, and then I'm just going to click on the background. You didn't see anything happen because the black layer is beneath the picture. So as we start working, you'll see the colored background show through. Okay, next we're going to make the Polaroid, the actual photo part. So I'm going to make a new layer, click the plus, name this one visible. And I'm going to use the rectangular marquee for this. It's the second tool down. If you don't see it, again, you can click and hold on the second tool and choose rectangular marquee. We want this to be a perfect square, so you can either click shift and drag to make a perfect square, or in the options bar, remember the options bar gives you options for whatever tool you have selected. In style, you can do fixed ratio, and it's 1:1. That'll make a square as well. So I'm just going to click and drag. And make sure your visible layer is selected in the layers panel. And again, take your paint bucket and fill the shape. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. And now select your layer 1. That's the copy of the monkey image. I'm going to right click my mouse on it and say create clipping mask. And here's what we've got. So now I can now I'm going to make my border. So click the plus. This one is going to be called border. I put it underneath my visible layer, okay? I'm going to use the rectangular marquee. This time we don't want it to be a square, so I'm going to go and set the style as normal. And we want it to be a little bit bigger than the picture that's visible. We're making the border of the Polaroid, so, and it's bigger on the bottom. So try to make the width on the sides and the top the same. And this time I'm gonna paint bucket this with white. All right, so we have our first Polaroid. I'm going to hold down Control and select all these layers and hit Control G. That put them all in one group. So now I can select the visible and the border, and I can move it. I hit Control to select visible layer, hold Control and select the border, and you can move them around. If I hit Control T, I can now hover my mouse in the corner and see the arrow curves, and I can rotate it. Okay, so now you can close and expand the group folder in the layers panel. Watch this. With the group layers selected, hit Control J, and now I have another one, and I can hold Control, expand it, hold Control to select visible and border, Control T, and I can rotate it. All right, I'm gonna hit Control J and do it again. I'm gonna expand this new group, click visible, hold Control and hit border, Control T, and I can rotate this. Hold Control to select the visible. Oops. Control T to rotate. And I'm going to do this at least 10 times with this picture. Something that you can do for these next, I want you to add a layer style. I'm going to add a drop shadow. If you see, this is this panel. I'm going to put the blend mode on normal. You can adjust the opacity, the spread. Whatever you want. I want mine to be a little bit subtle. And see, it added the effects to the group here. The easy way to apply this to all your pictures, see this effects? I'm going to right click my mouse on the word effects and say copy layer style. And now I'm going to right click on the next layer and say paste layer style. Right click on the next group. And now you know all of your effects are the same. And that is it. I'm going to save this Photoshop document. Save as. I want this to be a Photoshop document. To turn this in, I need you to turn in a JPEG, and JPEGs are exported. So go File, Export, Export As. Under Format, choose JPEG. Quality is always great. and then click export. For this, it's going to save over the original, so you can either put V2 for version 2, you could put edit so you know which one it is, or you could put your last name. And that is what you would turn in. Good job.